Might wanna buckle up, baby.
Punch it, I'm Jacob, and welcome to Lightspeed. The third episode of the Acolyte, Destiny, is now streaming on Disney+, so let's talk about it. And just to be blunt, there's no way that I can talk about this episode without spoilers, so I highly recommend watching this episode for yourself, and then coming back to this video. If there's one thing that's always consistent in Star Wars, it's family drama. I really enjoy how this episode, for the most part, continued to develop both the stories and the characters by actually diving into the past. It honestly felt so unique, somehow managing to be unlike anything we've ever seen in this universe before. Yet it's also reminiscent of the prequels, more specifically The Phantom Menace, in many ways, such as soul testing Osha in the same way that the Jedi Council tested a young Anakin Skywalker, which was actually pretty cool to see, and more deeply through the connection between both May and Osha. Seeing Osha and May on Bracken and learning more about their childhood and where they grew up really added a lot more to both of their characters and their relationship thus far. Much like Kylo Ren and Rey, they genuinely feel like a dyad in the Force through both their personalities and their actions. I loved seeing them learn about the Force and how it binds every living thing in a way that we haven't really seen before. Since the witches aren't as widely accepted as the Jedi, they have to teach the same lessons in similar and different ways to their coven. This is especially true when Mother Anastasia explicitly says, "Some call it the Force and claim to use it." I feel like it's easy to forget that the Jedi and the Sith are not the only groups that can learn and use the Force. But to me, that's one of the most defining things to come out of this episode, that it feels really fresh despite us being familiar with a lot of concepts and themes within the saga that also pertain to this episode. Especially the concept of conceiving life through the Force, which is how Shmi became pregnant with Anakin before the events of episode 1. It's something that we haven't really seen in Star Wars since 1999, so I was really intrigued when it was mentioned that's how May and Osha came to exist. That's also part of the reason why Osha's mother doesn't want her to go away with the Jedi. She knows that if Osha tests with them, there's a good chance of her being taken away whenever the Jedi leave, never to be seen again. And I personally really love the line where she tells Osha, "Destiny is not decided by an ominous choice. You get to pull that thread." It felt eerily similar to when Anakin had to leave Shmi on Tatooine to go with Qui-Gon. But I felt like this episode also showed that some in the galaxy are more critical of the Jedi and their teachings despite their reputation. There's definitely a lot of tension between the Coven and the Jedi right from the moment that they reveal themselves. I'm glad that this episode didn't drag out the mystery of what brought Osha and May to their respective paths, as well as the fire that burnt down their village. That being said, we still don't know everything. Who started the fire? Was it the Jedi? Was it the Coven themselves? Was it May, even though I don't really think so? These are such defining questions that I'm sure will be answered in a future episode or episodes, but in the meantime, I can definitely see how this one event defined their respective paths and perspectives on the Jedi Order. I will say that this episode isn't perfect. Although I did enjoy so much of it, there's still some weird pacing issues that I had with it, just like the first episode too. However, I can also confidently say that I wasn't expecting a lot of these answers so quickly, so seeing so much happen in one episode is as much its greatest strength as it is its greatest weakness. That being said, I thought that this episode was pivotal to the story, and honestly, I can't wait to see where we go from here. But what did you think of this episode of The Acolyte? Did you love it? Were you not a fan? Are you kind of in the middle? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, if you enjoy talking about Star Wars, I've got a link to my Discord server down below in the description as well. That all being said, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and until the next episode, for light and life.